Hello and welcome, everybody. It is Coach Action Jackson, and I'm here with Client Success Stories. I have my man Donny here, and Donny, he knocked the cover off of it. He knocked it clear out of the stadium, and I'm going to share some of his results. He lost 10 pounds in the program. He lost 3.5% body fat, getting down to 12%. He gained 4 pounds of muscle, which is incredible during a cut. And he also lost 3 inches from his waist, getting the full six-pack, the athletic physique. Donny, you look fabulous, fantastic. You look like you should be on the cover of Men's Health. Welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks so much, Jackson. Glad to be here with you.
Now, Donny, tell me, obviously we just shared the incredible success, the measurements, you got the visual, the quantitative progress, but let's go back a bit and talk a little bit about your entire journey, where you started, and then we'll kind of go from there, getting to all the kind of good, fun stuff towards the end. Sound good?
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds great.
So just share some of the stuff about your journey and kind of where you started.
Sure. So I think really to get the full journey, we'd have to go back to Father's Day of 2020, early pandemic times. And it was a pretty pivotal day for me. One thing led to another. I guess we can start the story from about the middle of the day. I found myself in a local ER with a nurse literally saying, "Oh my God," after taking my vitals, my blood pressure was so out of control. I was in like hypertensive crisis level of blood pressure. I had no idea I was that bad off. And really from there, one thing kind of led to another. They take an EKG. They're like, "Did you know you had a past myocardial infarction?" I had no idea. And really just kind of started this snowball, up until that point. At the time I was 38 years old, really never had any concerns with health, but, really in rapid succession that day, it's like, okay, your blood pressure is out of control. You had a past heart attack. Your A1C is 13. Congratulations. You have type 2 diabetes. Your triglycerides are terrible. Your cholesterol is awful. So that really kind of started this whole journey for me. Up until that point, health was, I think as for a lot of us when we were younger, health was just back of my mind. It was not something I was very intentional about. I'm a father of 2. I'm a very busy software engineer. So there were just other priorities in my life. But really that's, I can personally distill it down to like a moment, walking out of that emergency room to go home and celebrate Father's Day with my 2 young kids. And, just to be vulnerable for a minute, that was a feeling I've never had before. Walking out to my car from the emergency room for the first time in my life, I felt really fragile. I felt mortal, if you will, and scared, afraid. Which was super foreign for me, right? Again, I'm a husband, I'm a father of 2, I'm a leader at work. I'm the guy that everyone depends on, and so to walk out of that hospital and realize like, hey, I'm putting all of that at risk. I'm putting not just my literal life at risk, but my role in this world, in every facet, in my family, at my work, all of that's at risk because I've let myself go so bad. So that really kind of began the journey that, ended, I think, or at least, a step of that journey, I think, was getting to work with you. But that's really kind of where it started. So from there, maybe that's why your messages resonated with me, because from that moment, it was take action. Literally from the moment I walked out of that hospital, kind of started down the path. I think I'm probably a little unique in working with you in that I lost like 110 pounds before we started working together. And you were really, and your program was really kind of the next phase for me. So I guess that's really the background, and that's what eventually led me, that path kind of led me to you.
Of course. So you made a lot of progress, obviously, before we got together. You lost, as you mentioned, 110 pounds, and then our working together was kind of taking you from good to great and getting you the 6-pack and getting you on top of Mount Everest. But let's talk a little bit more about that beginning, because that's a pivotal moment. And I think a lot of people experience maybe not quite that moment, but some type of moment where they go to the doctor and their blood pressure is crazy, or they are pre-diabetic or diabetic, or they get some type of bad news, whether it's health news or something. But not everybody takes action, to your point, and does something about it. What was the dialogue? Because I can tell you just from personal experience, I sat there in the hospital with my mom many times where the doctor said, look, if you don't do something, this is going to end tragically for you. Like, I don't know how to explain this to you differently. And we all sat there and said, Mom, you got to do something. Mom, you got to do something. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, that message just never hit home. It just never resonated with her until it was to the point where it was too late. So how or why did it hit for you? And what was that self-dialogue like where you did say, I have to commit and do something about this? Was it just out of fear? Was it out of some type of responsibility for your family? All of the above? Like, just talk to me a little bit more in depth about that moment and then the decision that you made to take action and what that first step was like.
Yeah, and I think you really hit on two of the things. First, really, I think, was responsibility to my family. Again, it was maybe this perfect confluence of events, right? Perfect storm in that this started on Father's Day, right? Like, so I'm already in that space. The doctors, though, when I kind of first was going through all of this snowball of health problems, early on, they're like, look, we're waiting for your test results, but while we wait, you need to understand, at the time I had a 4 and a 6-year-old kid, like, without immediate drastic changes, you're not going to see your kids graduate high school. You're not going to walk your daughter down the aisle. And I don't know, that really just hit home. Hearing myself say it now, how could it not? But, that was really frightening to me. Not even for myself. But just thinking of that, like, again, these are people that depend on me, that, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow and that's that. We plan for those types of things as best as we can. But if this is something I'm doing to myself, if I'm taking myself out of the game, for people that really are counting on me every day, I can't do that. And, when it turns out that the solution is not fun or convenient, but the solution is 100% within my control, it was just sort of one of those, like, moments of clarity that I had, like, I can't not take action immediately, if that makes sense.
It does. And what was those first actions that you took? Was it getting to tonal? Was it getting to a gym, finding a trainer, going to Weight Watchers? Like, what were those first actions that you took?
Sure. So going back into that headspace, I was very much a neophyte to the whole fitness journey. I didn't know too much. My doctors said, look, they gave me a very specific, very restrictive diet. Almost no sodium, almost no carbs, and I got on that immediately. Again, that was, like, I can tell you the last time I ate bread was that morning of Father's Day, right? So that's 3 years ago. So it was that. They said, why don't you try walking? So I did that. I walked 15 miles a day, every day, in the rain, in the South Florida heat, all of that for years, right? And it worked. I lost 110 pounds, got my A1C to where it is today, like 4.5. Dramatically improved blood pressure, cholesterol, all of that good stuff. In fact, today I'm on no prescription meds after all of that, which was a pretty great success. But that, I did that for a couple of years and then realized, like, again, walking 15 miles a day, all of this crazy diet stuff, I realized on average, I'm spending 4+ hours a day on these actions. And again, they worked. I'll never complain about it. It was worth doing. But I was like, man, for the time and the effort that I'm sinking into this, I fixed my blood work. Those things feel good. I was at the time kind of, quintessential skinny fat, if you will. And I'm like, man, no one would look at me and say that guy's spending 4+ hours a day, 365 days a year on his fitness. So I was like, I'd really kind of like to maximize my, get the ROI back out of the time and the effort that I'm putting in. So it was at that point, probably year and a half, almost 2 years into the journey, I pulled the trigger on the tonal. I'm like, because again, this is still pandemic time. I'm like, I don't know if I really want to mess with the gym. So grabbed the tonal, dove right in with some of your programs. But still kind of was feeling like, after maybe a couple of months of that, I'm like, something's still not clicking. Like, it feels good. I'm putting in the effort, still not really seeing much, strength scores kind of muddling along. Not really, I'm certainly not looking like you at the time, right? I'm like, so it felt like still I'm not really piecing the puzzle together quite right between nutrition and workout types, all of that stuff. So that was really what led me off to Google and eventually right back to you.
Awesome. That's a incredible story. And I got to just commend you at this point. Usually I do wait till the end to do this, but I got to commend you for taking action and for taking responsibility, for being a leader, being an inspiration, and going on and beginning your journey, because where you're at today and just looking at the whole thing, it's really incredible. It's so inspiring. And to just think about where you started, all the ups and downs, and now where you're at today, it is astronomical, man. It's astronomical, and it's so incredible. So I want to commend you right now and just say thank you for all the hard work that you put in, because you're an inspiration. And with your family and everything, like, you're going to be here for a lot of years. And the journey that you went on, it matters. It matters not just to them. It matters, obviously, to so many other people, the people who are going to be watching this. It matters to them. I guarantee somebody's going to watch this and they're going to take action because of what you said, whether it's they get walking or they change their diet or they join the program or whatever it is. Somebody's going to do something because of you. So thank you for doing that, Donny.
Man, that's an awesome feeling.
Absolutely. So, okay, now we're at the point where you want to get into strength training. You realize that cardio got you to where you were at, but if you want to get to the next level, if you want to get a more athletic physique, if you want to really maximize the time that you're putting in, you're going to have to do strength training. So you got the tonal, you start using that, and then you realize quickly that, hey, there's another level to this. Hey, there's another layer here. I need to get my goals, my training, and my nutrition and all these things kind of lined up. And only if I get those things lined up am I going to see the next level results that I want. So you go from spinning your wheels, just kind of leveraging the tonal, to now you join the program and we really start getting the pieces put together. Now tell me, what were some of those, like, what was the first couple of weeks like when you joined the program? Was it overwhelming? Was it difficult? Was it easier than you thought? How quickly did the results come? Just kind of talk me through some of those beginning stages of the journey of us working together.
Sure. So really the first thing, and honestly, this is maybe like 1 week out from the program beginning. The first thing that was super impactful to me, you sent over just a tremendous wealth of information, right? Sent over my diet plan and macros and all of that. So I had some time to, kind of get my ducks in a row, do my grocery shopping, all of that. But along with that, you just sent over this wealth of articles and write-ups and how-tos. And so, man, that first week before I even lifted a weight alongside you was, felt like going back to school. And that was kind of the moment where it hit me like, okay, it looks like I may have made exactly the right decision, right? Because for me at that time, it was not a motivation or an effort deficit. It really was a knowledge gap, right? I didn't know what I was doing. You Google this stuff and, you Google like how to get a six pack, right? Which I'm sure you've done. It's insane. It's impossible to sift through those results if you know nothing, which I did. So right off the bat, just all of the info you sent me. And again, it's not like you were sending me Wikipedia articles. This was very curated, very actionable info, which was exactly what I needed. So I feel like before I even started, before I turned the tonal on for the first time with your program, I was already much improved just from all that information you sent me. Once the program started, I got to say I was, I don't know, I may be atypical for folks starting your program, but the diet portion of it was rather easy for me because I had already been on this kind of crazy unsustainable diet for 2 years, right? So that was almost refreshing. The one bit that was a little foreign and took some getting used to was really tracking macros. Again, I would say you mentioned the first 2 weeks. That's about exactly how long it took for that to feel really natural, to the point now where it would feel weird not to track them. So yeah, that part was rather easy. The workouts themselves were very different from what I had done before. Starting the first couple of weeks was kind of an eye opener there. I believe he called it the metabolic strength training, kind of the mix of strength and cardio. First week, I would say was, again, really kind of the shock to my system. Like, this is something totally new. Really felt like once I made it through those first 2 weeks of both the diet and the workout regime, it was like shifting gears, right? Like getting, now I'm in second gear. Now it's like, okay, I've proven I can make it through 2 weeks. I can make it through 16. And we were kind of off to the races from there.
Absolutely. So, Donny, what were some, I guess it sounds like there weren't that many obstacles that you necessarily faced, especially early on. You mentioned obviously getting the treasure trove of information. And I think one of the things a good coach does, and this is something that not a lot of people think about, but they filter information for you. They filter it to only the things that you need to focus and look at. Because if you just go out there in the world looking for information, there's so much. Right. And there's so many contradictory opinions, and there's this and there's that, and there's all these different things that a coach is going to say, hey, only worry about this. Here's the filtered information that you need to focus and worry about. Then if you execute on that information, you should see the needle move. You should see results. And we stack the program and set it up so you get those big wins early. What were some of the big wins that you saw early as you were kind of going through the program? Was it a mindset breakthrough? Was it seeing the scale move? Was it your pants, getting looser? A compliment you got from a neighbor, your spouse, somebody? Like, what were some of the big wins that you had as you were kind of going through early on that kind of kept you going?
So I would say early on specifically, I came in thinking, and based on every like BMI chart that I'd seen on the internet, I'm like, I don't really have any weight to lose. But that first week, week one with a broken foot, brand new on the program, I dropped 9 pounds. I don't know where it came from. But then, at the end of that week, I'm like, okay, this Bloore guy knows something. I don't know how he got that out of me. So
you set it up strategically like that. So you do see the wins early and you build momentum. Because for a lot of people, when they join a program, they go, oh, when am I going to see the results? And the coach says, don't worry, you'll see the results soon. Don't worry. Just be patient. And when I started training people in San Francisco, this is years and years ago in person, before getting to do online stuff, people are paying a lot of money. And when people are paying you anywhere between $150 and by the time I finished, people were paying me $250 an hour. Somebody's paying you $250 an hour, they want to see results immediately. They want results now. So I really had to think strategically about how do you order the operations, right? You're in software. I used to be in software. So order of operations is very important when it comes to software. And one of the things in this program I've thought a lot about is what's the order of operations? And when it comes to really getting people invested, getting people excited, building momentum and that trust, it comes to seeing some results early. And that's why I stack the program and I order the operations the way I do. So you get those big wins early, you build momentum, you get the trust, and then it's like, bam, now we're off to the races. So it sounds like that happened with you, which is very exciting. What were some of the other wins?
Yeah. So moving on through the program, candidly, one of the things, again, being admittedly very knowledge deficient when I came to you, one of the things that was most attractive to me about the program was I'm like, man, I don't have to do any thinking, right? I turn the machine on the wall. I do what it says. I read what coach says to eat. I do it like, hey, I don't have to think. I just follow it step by step. So at the beginning, that was super attractive to me. By about halfway through the program, I realized, like, wait a minute, that's completely wrong. Like, I do actually have to think. But now that I'm realizing that I have to think, coach has already taught me how, right? Like, I wasn't expecting that. I realized about halfway through the program, like, man, I actually don't have to follow this prescriptive step by step. Like, I can actually make this work with my life. But it was an odd moment to me to realize that, because that's not what I came to you for, but I got it anyway. You know what I mean? And I've heard you talk about this before, that's how you make this a lifestyle change and something sustainable. But again, candidly, I wasn't looking for that, but I got it anyway. So that was another huge win. The biggest thing, though, that I'll say, which again is another one of these things, I didn't come to you for this, or I didn't think I did at the time. But I would say the biggest thing for me, we talked about losing 10 pounds, losing 3.5% body fat, losing 3 inches. The biggest thing that I lost is that feeling that I was telling you about leaving the ER. I lost that feeling of being fragile. I lost that feeling of being scared and vulnerable. I am a different person now than I was before. Before, I was timid. I was unsure. I was, again, I was capable of taking action, but I wouldn't have called myself action taker. Now, man, just the level of confidence and mental toughness that I feel that I have now versus when I started. I would have never attempted some of these workouts that you've given me, right? And just that aspect, the mentality shift, growing the mental toughness, the ability to push through something. I don't really question myself, can I do this anymore? It's just, let's get to work. And that's something, I didn't come to you for that. I came to you, I wanted a 6-pack, you know what I mean? But now that I'm at the end, of the program, I'm looking back and it's like, you know what, actually, I feel like Jackson gave me this mentality, and a side effect of that is the 6-pack. Now this mentality is mine. This is who I am now. That's what's going to make this sustainable for life. And very honestly, it's leaking. It started out with, getting my workouts done, hitting my macros. That mentality is leaking, man. Like, I'm much more focused. I'm better at my job. I'm better with my family. So I would say that was honestly one of my biggest surprises. Again, I didn't come to you. I didn't pay you for that, but you gave it to me anyway. And now that I'm looking back, that's maybe more valuable than the 6-pack, right?
Wow, Donny, that is incredible, unbelievable. That's music to my ears. I love hearing that because when I hear it from people, I hear it from so many people when we do these interviews, that just gets me so excited because I know everyone focuses on the 6-pack and they think it's the 6-pack, it's the 6-pack. And trust me, the 6-pack is nice, getting the compliments, walking on the beach. Obviously, your shirtless photos are insane. You look amazing. But there's all these other things. There's all these other benefits, the confidence, the trusting in yourself. You mentioned the bulletproof mindset, like arming your mind. It's just incredible. And it bleeds into all these other areas of your life. Now, I want to kind of call back to what you spoke about. You mentioned, teaching somebody to fish versus handing them a fish. So one of the things we do in the program is, yes, we give you here's exactly what you need to do. Step 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, do this, do that, do the next thing. But along that process, we're also giving you the why behind you're doing it. We're starting to teach you and give you the education because the goal of the program is not just to get the 6-pack or lose weight or get the bikini body or build muscle or whatever. The goal of the program is to get you that thing, but to teach you how you can maintain it for the rest of your life, to teach you how to train, how to eat, and how to think for the rest of your life. So we need to give you the why behind in order to build your education and your knowledge base to teach you how to think about these things in the future. Because if we just give you a meal plan and say, only eat these things and just follow this for the rest of your life, it's not going to work. We need to teach you the skills. We need to teach you and reinforce the habits. We need to teach you how to, whether it's read labels or order off menus or understand social situations and how to navigate them so you can make sure that you don't sabotage yourself. We need to teach you all of these skills. And that's what we focus on to get you the result, but to make sure you keep the result for the rest of your life. And the big thing that you just mentioned was the mindset shift. I read a lot of books. I love these military books, whether it's like, Jocko Willink's Extreme Ownership or David Goggins or Admiral William McRaven's Make Your Bed. I love all these books because they're all focused on mindset and they're focused on how in the military specifically, they do these things to build your mind up and to build your confidence and your trust in yourself. And that's one of the elements that I've included into the program, which is we're going to push you. We're going to push you outside your comfort zone and we're going to test you. We're going to test your limits because not only is that going to produce the best results, but that physically, right? But that's going to produce the best results mentally. And then all of a sudden, you're going to start asking yourself, what else could I do? where else am I leaving something on the table? What's my potential? Not just, again, physically, but what's my potential for earning? What's my potential relationships? What's my potential over here or there or there's other places? And all of a sudden, it's like your eyes are awakened or opened. And it's like, wow, there's so many things I could also be doing. There's so many other areas of life I can grow into. And now you have the identity, you have the habits, you have the skills. And you mentioned it, this is who I am. It's what I do. And now I'm like this for life. And that is the absolute goal of the program. That is what it's all about, because you got the result. Let's make sure you keep the result. And we need to change you, build the skills, build the mindset, and make sure that it's your identity. It's who you are. And I'm just so excited, Donny, because that was just one of the best couple of minutes that I've ever heard anyone share on these success story interviews. So thank you.
Yeah, man, it couldn't be more true. And again, I wish I could take some credit for saying like, yeah, that's what I was looking for. It wasn't, I came for the six pack, but without a doubt, most valuable stuff. And I do just want to say, like, I'm not Mike Murphy. I'm not some Navy SEAL. I'm just a dude. I'm a regular guy like everyone else watching, like countless other clients of yours. But it's amazing what that mindset shift will do. I think I said to you as we were approaching graduation, like, I finished my last workout of the program. I was like, yeah, it feels great. Next, like, what's next? Because through this, you really just become addicted to kind of proving to yourself what can I accomplish? I didn't think I could accomplish what I did 6 months ago. I just did that. Like, let's go. What's next? So again, just super valuable part of it. And to your point, I think it really does set you up for life. Sky's the limit, right?
What are some tips for somebody who's listening at home and they're saying, well, of course, Donny can do it, but they're getting started on their journey. And they're saying, I don't have that mindset. I'm not like that, but they want to get started on it. So outside of obviously the obvious one, which is joining the program, but outside of that, what are some tips, some things that they can do to get started to building that? And then as you were kind of going through the program, like, where do you think that came from? Was it trusting in yourself? Was it continuously making progress? Was it just the physique changes? Like, where do you think it kind of came from? So how do you get started? And then where do you think the mindset shift came from?
Sure. So again, I'll preface this by saying, as I did, man, I'm a everyday father. My most storied exploits are writing some really good code. You know what I mean? I'm not over there fighting in Afghanistan. I'm nothing spectacular or extraordinary, right? So if I can see results, if I can have this mindset shift, I promise you, whoever's watching this, you absolutely can too, right? With that said, where do you get started? This was my experience, and also something that you've said to me a number of times. I've heard from you. Again, when I left that emergency room, I wasn't feeling particularly motivated. I was feeling scared. I was feeling fragile. I was not feeling like a rah, go get 'em. You know what I mean? And you've said this a number of times to me, like, waiting until you're motivated to take action is exactly the wrong order. Start by taking action. The motivation will follow. I'm probably poorly paraphrasing you, but I've heard you say something along those lines a few times. That would absolutely be my advice to someone. Don't worry about what you think you can do. Don't wait until the stars are aligned, Jupiter's aligned with Pluto, everything's perfect, and now it's time to take action. Just start. Go take a slow walk around the block, whatever it is. Like, slow motion's better than no motion. Just start. Would be my biggest advice. Start right now. Don't plan to start 2 weeks from Tuesday. Like, just take those first steps and kind of watch the motivation grow from there. And I'm sorry. So there was.
No, that's great. That's fantastic. So getting started, take action. And here's the thing. At first, just doing something is going to be way better than doing nothing. And of course, there's an inflection point, which you reached where just taking action, we needed to really dial in the strategy. But at first, that wasn't the case. At first, it's just, let's do something, anything, just get moving, just get into action and do something, because you can make a ton of progress with just hard work. Eventually, we're going to need to combine hard work and strategy to get to the next level. You want the six pack, we got to really dial things in. We got to combine the goals, the training, the nutrition, the mindset. All these things have to line up, kind of like climbing Mount Everest. You got to have the weather, the team, the Sherpa. You got to get a little bit of luck. Like all these things have to combine in order for you to get to the top of Mount Everest. So the six pack is kind of like the Mount Everest, but to get started, to lose the first 100 pounds that you lost, it was just doing something, just taking action, just getting into motion. And then after losing 100 pounds, which is insane in itself, then it was like, okay, now let me try to dial in some strategy. And then once you did that, it's like, all right, let's take it to the next level and really get all the things aligned and get some coaching at the next level. So there's so many different levels to this game that we're on, an infinite number of levels. I'm still working on my ideal physique, right? It's a never ending journey that we're on. But the way you begin the journey is by taking action and taking that first step. Yes. And then once you've gotten to the point where the hard work is starting to have diminishing returns, that's when you start to either seek coaching or that's when you combine a little bit of strategy and say, okay, now how do I really make this the most effective use of my time? How do I dial things in? How do I combine things or get the puzzle pieces aligned? And that's going to take you to the next level. And that's going to just be more progress and even more exciting and build more momentum and make you even stronger and better. So I love everything that you said there, Donny. That was fantastic. I guess I want to be respectful of your time, so I won't take too much more. But what are some other things or breakthroughs or insights that you want to share before we kind of wrap up here?
Sure. I mean, really, biggest thing is, I can say personally, this has taken me back 6 months because I watched a ton of these interviews before we started working together, right? And I saw a lot of real people that had real results, and it was great. It was impactful. This was important to me, this kind of research. So, again, I would just echo that. Anyone that's watching that's in the position that I was in, and take some action. Invest in yourself. Coach Jackson has the plan. If you trust this plan, it's going to work. You can't screw it up. You can't fail if you take this action. So I would say that to folks. Beyond that, just. And what a journey! I'm continually impressed with. This was my first experience with really coaching of any sort, and it's been impactful to me all along. Just all the thought you've obviously put into this, and the experience that you have, the seemingly little things. The community on Facebook that we have of other folks in the program, super helpful, super supportive. A lot of great content there. And really, again, for me, being new to fitness, being new to having a coach, man, how cool it was to really feel like I wasn't alone in this. Coach, from the beginning, it was just staggering to me to have somebody else that was passionate about my goals, as passionate about it as I was, keeping me honest. It was just so refreshing and so cool to have an ally. So thank you for that, first of all. But again, anyone watching this that's never had that before, trust me, it makes a huge difference,
I love it, Donny. And obviously you're welcome. And of course I'm a bit biased here, but I invest in coaching myself. I've invested, no joke, 200,000 plus in coaching resources through masterminds, business coaching, fitness coaching, certifications I've gotten over the years and everything else in between over the last, I would say 10 plus years that I've been running my business. But I think for a lot of people who haven't invested in coaching before, or they invested once and they got a bad coach, or it was somebody that didn't know what they were doing, or it was a scam or something, my heart really goes out to those people. But I started and I tried, I think, 5 different business coaches before I found the right one. $70,000, I'll never forget the number, $70,999.97. I was in debt, credit card debt from buying masterminds, paying business coaches, software, all this stuff when I was trying to get my business going. And it was swing and a miss on a business coach. But I just kept at it because I knew there had to have been somebody I know there has to be somebody out there who's good. Of course there has to be. And so I just kept going until I found the one that worked. And the one that did work literally was worth 100 times. Everything I invested into it. Yeah. So I think sometimes if you get a bad break, you get a little bit unlucky, you hire somebody that doesn't work, maybe you hired an in-person trainer, it wasn't good or whatever, you just got to try again because there's somebody out there that's going to make the difference for you. And if you meet that person, the investment that you make is going to be a fraction, you're going to get 100 times return on that investment when it hits. And obviously it hit for you, Donny, and it's been an incredible journey. And I just can't thank you enough. But yes, if you're out there, coaching is so critical because you get somebody who's invested in your goals, who's pushing you, who's holding you accountable, somebody who's aspirational that you want to kind of like almost like impress, right? You don't want to let them down. So you're kind of in with them. And it's really incredible. I still have a business coach to this day. I make sure that I do because I need that person that's going to hold me accountable, that's going to raise my game, that's going to push me when I don't feel like doing it, because you don't always feel like doing it. And then once you get to the point where the habits just get so ingrained in you and it really becomes who you are and it shifts your identity, then certainly maybe you don't need coaching forever. But for a season, for a moment, to get to that point, I think it's just so worth it and so critical because it will get to the next level. And most people think they can do it on their own. But I mean, the saying is, if you could do it on your own, you probably would have done it already.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, 100%.
Well, Donny, again, I just want to thank you because your journey is so inspiring. This makes a difference. I know you said I'm not some Navy SEAL or anything crazy like that. I'm just a regular guy. But you know what? This journey that you went on and everything you've accomplished and everything you've done, you're not just a regular guy. You're an extraordinary guy. You're an awesome guy. You're an excellent guy. You're strong. You're confident. You're trustworthy. You're high integrity. You're an unbelievable, awesome guy. It's been an honor. And I mean this, it's been an honor and a privilege to get to work with you. Just reading your reviews, the weekly reviews that you were submitting, just getting a chance to coach you, every interaction I had with you, it was just awesome. Seeing your growth, seeing you explode, seeing how strong you were getting, seeing the breakthroughs, the mindset shifts. It was a fantastic experience for me. And I got to say, I'm the luckiest guy in the world because I get to work with people like you and I get to watch you thrive and just crush it and just knock it out of the park. And I really believe this. Like I'm a spiritual guy, but I believe that the reason my mom didn't listen to those doctors and she didn't do the things that she needed to do was because she needed to drive me and give me the fire under my ass so I could help people just like you. And so I keep waking up and keep doing this, and I'll never stop because working with somebody like yourself is just so fulfilling and so impactful for me. So thank you for putting in the hard work, and thank you for really making my life so damn meaningful. Thank you, Donny.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It means an awful lot.
It's been such a pleasure, man. So I'll be respectful of your time. We'll cut it there. But thanks again, Donny, for taking action. Because as you know, action's the difference between dreaming and succeeding.